Pick Show here for Thursday's action. This is part 4. We'll have 10 picks for you. We'll have the one game for Thursday. We'll have 9 for Saturday. We're going to get all 63 in 6 parts. So this is part 4. We'll get 10 in. Before we get underway, just a couple things. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Free college football picks are updated all season long. Free picks every day from all the major sports. We also have NBA, college basketball, World Cup soccer. We also have NHL, NFL, college football, NBA, college basketball. It's a good time to subscribe. And also, if you would support our channel, give us that thumbs up. Greatly appreciate it. Then visit Tony'sPicks.com, our multi-capper site, showcasing our top cappers in our industry. Click the link to the hot cappers. Get signed up to some of our long-term passes. Great results here from Tiffany and Mindy's been hot here. So is Ramon for the year. Click the links to get signed up to our long-term passes. You'll find our premium picks here at the center of the page. Our best bets, a great feature there. Each capper can release a best bet per sport per day. You'll see them right here on our site. Our $15 premium pick. Each capper can release one of their picks from their card as a $15 premium pick, just to introduce their service to new and existing customers. 3 packs, great value there. Keep an eye on those. Really good value there. All profit guarantee on the 3 packs. You must turn a profit, or the amount you purchase is credit back to your account. For site credits, that is profit guarantee. And our pick ticker. You can buy picks on an a la carte basis right here on our pick ticker. Our promo code, you can save 20% off all premium pick packages. When you use that promo code TonyT at checkout, you can access our page by clicking the link in the description. Click the All Cappers tab, then get signed up. Also love to hear from you guys, so post your picks in the comments below. We are looking for cappers, so you can apply on our site and our podcast, available on all major platforms. Every pick in podcast form, every show in podcast form, available on all major platforms. Just search Tony's Picks in your favorite podcast platform. All right, let's get this one started. Mississippi State versus Mississippi college football pick. This action is on Thursday. Mississippi State improved to 7-4 with that 56-7 home win to FCS. East Tennessee State gained 418 yards. Quarterback Will Rogers, 68% completion rate this season with 6.6 yards per attempt. Now Ole Miss, they fell to 8-3 with that 42-27 road defeat to Arkansas. Rebels gained 703 yards with 463 yards rushing on 53 attempts. On defense, they surrendered over 8 yards per run to the Razorbacks with 168 passing on 22 attempts. Jackson Dart completed 58% of his passes with 6.7 yards per attempt. He threw for 204 yards with a touchdown and interception. This season, Dart a 60% completion rate with 8.4 yards per attempt. Mississippi State has lost all 3 SEC road games, averaging 13 points a game. The play here will be Ole Miss, -2. Louisiana versus Texas State college football pick Saturday. Louisiana fell to 5-6 with that 49-17 road defeat to Florida State. Raging Cajuns gained 291 yards with 132 rushing on 32 carries. Defensively, they did surrender over 5 yards per rush to the Seminoles with 189 passing on 21 attempts. Chandler Fields completed 53% of his passes with 4.4 yards per attempt. He passed for 159 yards and a touchdown on the year. Fields a 56% completion rate with 5.9 yards per attempt. Texas State improved to 4-7 with that 16-13 home win to Arkansas State. Bobcats gained 340 yards, 144 rushing on 38 carries. Defensively, they limited the Red Wolves to 2 yards per rush with 237 passing on 40 attempts. Lane Hatcher completed 64% of his passes with 5.4 yards per attempt. He threw for 196 yards on the season. Hatcher a 63% completion rate with 6.1 yards per attempt. Raging Cajuns needs a win to become bowl eligible, but Fields is a backup making his second start after their starters out. Raging Cajuns road form not impressive. Past 3 games, Bobcats holding teams at 2.5 yards per rush, and Louisiana averaging 4.8 yards per pass attempt. The play here will be Texas State at +5. Southern Miss versus UL Monroe college football pick Saturday. Southern Miss enters at 5-6 with their 27-20 home defeat to South Alabama. Golden Eagles posted 298 yards with 102 rushing on 33 carries. On defense, they held the Jaguars under 3 yards per rush with 257 passing yards on 26 attempts. Trey Lowe completed 54% of his passes with 5.1 yards per attempt. He passed for 167 yards and an interception. This year, Lowe a 52% completion rate with 7.3 yards per attempt. UL Monroe is 4-7 after their 34-16 road defeat at Troy. Warhawks gained 228 yards with 83 rushing on 33 carries. On defense, they surrendered nearly 6 yards per rush to the Trojans with 78 passing yards on 17 attempts. Chandler Rogers completed 61% of his throws with a season-low 5.2 yards per attempt in defeat. He passed for 145 yards. This season, Rogers a 68% completion rate with 7.8 yards per attempt. Golden Eagles a win away from bowl eligibility. USM has covered 6 of 7 on the road. Both offensive. This is the past 3 games are struggling. Golden Eagles running for just 2.1 yards per rush. Warhawks 2.5 over that 3-game span. Southern Miss quarterback situation also a concern. The play here, Southern Miss and UL Monroe under 50.5. Nevada versus UNLV college football pick. This one goes off here on Saturday. Nevada drops to 2-9 with their 41-14 home defeat to Fresno State. Wolfpack posted 389 yards with 146 rushing on 30 carries. Defensively, they surrendered 5 yards per rush to the Bulldogs with 361 passing on 42 attempts. Nate Cox completed 42% of his passes with 6.4 yards per attempt. He threw for 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. This season, Cox a 51% completion rate with 5.7 yards per attempt. UNLV fell to 4-7 after their 31-25 road defeat to Hawaii. Rebels gained 427 yards with 139 rushing on 36 carries. Defensively, they allowed 5 yards per rush to the Warriors with 202 passing yards on 27 attempts. Doug Brumfield hit on 62% of his passes with 7.8 yards per attempt. He passed for 288 yards, a touchdown, and interception on the season. Brumfield a 65% completion rate with 7.5 yards per attempt. Wolfpack have lost 9 straight, covering just 1 in that period. At home, the Rebels are moving the football for 411 yards, 5.2 yards per rush. Nevada on the road averaging only 244 yards to play here. UNLV minus 12. Appalachian State versus Georgia Southern college football pick. This one is on Saturday. App State is 6-5 with their 27-14 home win to Old Dominion. Mountaineers gained 498 yards with 207 rushing on 42 carries. Defensively, they held ODU to 3 yards per rush with 308 passing on 38 attempts. Chase Bryce completed 68% of his passes with 13.2 yards per attempt. He threw for 291 yards and 2 touchdowns. On the season, Bryce a 63% completion rate with 8.3 yards per attempt. Georgia Southern is 5-6 after their 23-10 home defeat to Marshall. Eagles put up 384 yards with 179 rushing on 24 carries. Defensively, they allowed nearly 5 yards per rush to the Thundering Herd with 274 passing yards on 32 attempts. Kyle Van Treese completed 56% of his passes with 5.3 yards per attempt. He threw for 205 yards with a touchdown and interception. On the year, Van Treese a 61% completion rate with 6.9 yards per attempt. Past 3 games, Eagles are allowing 493 yards, 5.5 yards per rush, 7.3 yards per pass attempt. 3 straight losses for Georgia Southern. The play here will be Appalachian State minus 4.5. Middle Tennessee State versus FIU college football pick. This one is on Saturday. Middle Tennessee State moved to 6-5 with that 49-21 home win to FAU. Blue Raiders gained 615 yards with 167 rushing on 36 carries. Defensively, they held the Owls to 1 yard per rush with 325 passing on 37 attempts. Chase Cunningham completed 74% of his passes with 8.3 yards per attempt. He threw for 448 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 1 interception. This season, Cunningham a 67% completion rate with 7 yards per attempt. FIU fell to 4-7 with that 40-6 road defeat to UTEP. Golden Panthers gained 71 yards with 115 rushing on 22 carries. Defensively, they allowed 6 yards per rush to UTEP with 190 passing on 18 attempts. Grayson James completed 37% of his passes with 3.5 yards per attempt. He threw for 56 yards and an interception. This year, James a 58% completion rate with 5.5 yards per attempt. FIU offense has floundered, averaging just 202 yards over the past 3 games. Grayson's past 2 games, he's completed only 36% of his passes, 2.7 yards per attempt. The play here, Middle Tennessee State at minus 19.5. LSU versus Texas A&M college football pick. This one goes off here on Saturday. LSU sits at 9-2 with their 41-10 home win to UAB. Tigers gained 565 yards, 266 rushing on 41 carries. On defense, they held the Blazers at just over 2 yards per rush with 211 passing on 35 attempts. Jane Daniels completed 76% of his passes with 10.2 yards per attempt. He passed for 297 yards and a touchdown. This season, Daniels a 69% completion rate with 7.6 yards per attempt. He has rushed for 740 yards, 4.6 yards per carry. Texas A&M improved to 4-7 with a 20-3 home win to UMass. Aggies posted 404 yards with 213 rushing on 39 carries. On defense, they held the Minutemen to under 3 yards per rush with 55 passing on 23 attempts. Connor Wegman completed 58% of his passes with 10.1 yards per attempt. This season, Wegman a 53% completion rate with 6.5 yards per attempt. Both defenses in good form over the past 3 games. Wegman accuracy an issue for the 108th ranked scoring offense in the nation. The play here will be on LSU and Texas A&M under 47.5. USF versus UCF college football pick. This one here on Saturday. UCF fell to 8-3 with that 17-14 home defeat to Navy. Knights gained 314 yards with 84 rushing on 24 carries. On defense, they surrendered 248 yards on 63 carries to Navy. Midshipman threw only 1 pass. John Plumlee completed 61% of his passes with 5.9 yards per attempt. He threw for 107 yards and an interception. On the season, Plumlee a 63% completion rate with 8 yards per attempt. USF 1-10 after their 48-42 road defeat to Tulsa. Bulls gained 499 yards, 259 rushing on 41 carries. On defense, they allowed over 5 yards per rush to the Golden Hurricane with 302 passing on 27 attempts. Byron Brown completed 84% of his passes with 9.6 yards per attempt. He threw for 240 yards and 3 touchdowns. On the year, Brown a 77% completion rate with 8.8 yards per attempt. Bulls defensive form poor over the past 3 games by allowing 582 yards, 7 yards per rush, and 309 passing with 10 yards per attempt. They are moving the football for 450 yards in this period. Knights moving the football for 5 yards per rush as well over this period. The play here will be UCF and USF over 68.5. Tulsa versus Houston college football pick Saturday. Tulsa improved to 4-7 with their 48-42 home win to USF. Golden Hurricane gained 573 yards with 271 rushing on 46 carries. On defense, they allowed 4.5 yards per rush to USF with 240 passing on 25 attempts. Braylon Braxton completed 74% of his passes with a season-high 11.2 yards per attempt. He passed for 302 yards and a touchdown in the game. On the year, Braxton a 56% completion rate with 6.8 yards per attempt. Now Houston, 7-4 team, a 42-3 road win at East Carolina. Cougars posted 515 yards with 80 rushing on 24 carries. Defensively, they allowed over 5 yards per rush to ECU, but only 197 passing on 35 attempts. Clayton Tune, 73% completion rate with 9.9 yards per attempt. He threw for 435 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception. On the season, Tune a 69% completion rate with 8.2 yards per attempt. Cougars' offense has been blazing over the past 3 games, averaging 570 yards, 6.8 yards per rush, 417 passing with 9.1 yards per attempt. On defense, they're allowing 497 yards, 8.1 yards per attempt. The play here, Tulsa and Houston over 66.5. Syracuse versus Boston College football pick. This one here on Saturday. Syracuse fell to 6-5 with that 45-35 road defeat to Wake Forest. 5 straight losses for the Orange. They posted 477 yards with 120 rushing on 29 carries. Defensively, they allowed 4 yards per run to the Demon Deacons with 331 passing on 43 carries. Garrett Schrader completed 55% of his passes with 10 yards per pass attempt. He passed for 324 yards with a touchdown and interception. On the year, Schrader a 63% completion rate with 8.5 yards per attempt. Boston College fell to 3-8 with their 44-0 road defeat to Notre Dame. Eagles gained 173 yards with 56 rushing on 36 carries. Emmett Moorhead completed 41% of his passes with 5.3 yards per attempt. He passed for 117 yards and 3 interceptions. BC, 125th in the nation in scoring. Orange held Virginia, Pittsburgh, and NC State to low point totals. On the road, Syracuse averaging only 3.2 yards per rush. The Eagles, 2.6 per rush at home. Play here, Syracuse and Boston College, under 47. All right, that was our college football pick show here for Thursday. We got you the Thursday game as well as 9 games for Saturday. So this was our part 4 for week 13, and we're going to get you all 63 by the end of this. So we have another 20 or so games to go with to finish it up here for this week. Make sure you like, subscribe. More picks come up a little bit later, and make sure you visit TonySpears.com for our best bets over on our site. Check it out. Tony C back later with more picks.